Today we will talk about the rectum and anal canal. Now this is a very important part of large intestine, terminal part of the large intestine. Its anatomy, we will talk first about the gross structure of the rectum and anal canal, then its important blood supply, venous drainage, lymphatic drainage, nerve supply, and then the most important part, that is the applied aspect of the rectum and anal canal, because this is the terminal part of the gastrointestinal tract. It can be accessed manually for examination. So very important structures are there in rectum and anal canal, and even by this manual examination we can examine the adjacent structures. So let us see what is rectum. Now rectum and anal canal are distal part of large intestine after sigmoid colon. At sigmoid colon ends, the rectum starts. That is the superior extent of the rectum. But rectum and anal canal, they are devoid of cardinal features of large intestine. Now you know the cardinal features of large intestine. ये क्या आ गया? The cardinal features of large intestine are tinea coli, which is the longitudinal muscles are condensed in the form of three muscles, that is tinea coli. Second important feature of large intestine is sacculations, dilatations, that is present in large intestine, and appendices epiploicae. These are the fat-filled peritoneal folds which are there. You can see the tinea coli here. This is the longitudinal muscle ribbon-like tinea coli, and these are the sacculation. This is one sacculation, alternate dilatation and slight constrictions are there. So these are sacculations, but you can see they are present in ascending, transverse and descending colon, but they are absent in rectum. All the three cardinal features of the large intestine are absent in rectum and anal canal. Now what are the measurements of the rectum? It is 12 centimeter long and diameter at the upper end, where it continues with the sigmoid colon, is 4 centimeter. So this is the diameter at upper end. Now at lower end, there is a dilatation in rectum known as rectal ampulla. So these are the 12 centimeter length, upper end 4 centimeter in diameter, and in lower part there is a dilatation, rectal ampulla. So these are the measurements. Now what is the extent and course of the rectum? Rectum is continuation of sigmoid colon, but at which level? At which level it becomes rectum? It is in front of the third sacral vertebra. So it extends from the third sacral vertebra up to anal canal. It will continue as anal canal, at which point 2 to 3 centimeter in front and a little below the tip of coccyx. So this is extent of rectum from third sacral vertebra to just below the tip of coccyx, 2 to 3 centimeter in front of the tip of coccyx. We'll see this in the diagram. First, now what is the direction? First it is directed postero-inferiorly and then antero-inferiorly. This is the curvature of the sacrum. Sacral curvature is such that it is concave forward. So first the rectum will follow that curvature, sacral curvature, and first go posteriorly and inferiorly and then antero-inferiorly. So this is direction of the rectum and extend from third sacral vertebra to the tip of coccyx, rectum. You can see here in this diagram, this is large intestine, sigmoid colon with tinea coli, All these are circulations or haustrations, also called haustrations, this dilatation. But you can see here, opposite the third sacral vertebra, this is rectum. You can see in this diagram, this is rectum, and you can see all the cardinal features. This dilatation, this tinea coli, they are absent. Now the longitudinal muscle is uniformly distributed, not condensed in the form of ribbon-like structure, tinea coli. So this is first rectum directed postero-inferiorly and then antero-inferiorly. This is, it lies in true pelvis. The rectum lies in true pelvis. You can see here the rectum lies in posterior part of true pelvis, in front of lower 3 sacral vertebra, and coccyx behind it, and bladder in front of rectum in male, but in female, instead of this rectum, anterior to the rectum there is uterus, and then anterior to uterus there is urinary bladder. So these are the location where it is exactly located. Now, rectum is not a straight tube. No, there are curvatures present in the rectum, and this curvature are in anteroposterior curvature and lateral curvature. In both the planes, it shows the curvatures, not a straight tube. And anteroposterior curvature. Now you can see in this diagram, this is anteroposterior. This diagram is showing anteroposterior curvature. This one. The upper curvature is sacral curve. This is sacral curve along the concavity of sacrum. First directed downward and backward, and then downward and forward. You can see this is sacral curve. Second curvature is perineal curvature. This one is perineal curvature. This one. And where it is on the pelvic diaphragm, and here it pierces the pelvic diaphragm and below continue with the anal canal. Anal canal. This is, here is the anal canal. Here anal canal. Lateral curvature. So two anteroposterior curvatures, sacral and perineal curvature. Lateral curvature, if you see, first see the direction, superior, inferior. This is right side. This is left side. So first curvature is convex, to the right is upper lateral curvature. This is convex, to left is middle lateral curvature. And this is again convex, to right is the lower lateral curvature. So these are the three lateral curvatures: upper lateral curvature, middle lateral curvature, and inferior lateral curvature. These are three lateral curvatures of the rectum. So these are anteroposterior curvature and lateral curvatures of the rectum. So it is not a straight tube, remember. Now this perineal curvature is because of the muscle known as puborectal, is also known as anorectal ring, which maintain this curvature. We'll see this, how it is maintained. This is the anorectal ring. You can see this is pubis bone. This is pubis anteriorly, posteriorly here there is sacrum. This is rectum. Here is anal canal. इसको देखना ना, F5 दबा देना. This puborectalis muscle, along with the sphincters, external and internal anal sphincter, will also join with the puborectalis muscle to form anorectal ring. This anorectal ring, right? And this maintain the perineal curvature, and from here now it continues as anal canal, which is directed downward and backward. And this is an angle, almost 90-degree angle is there. This perineal curvature. So anorectal ring, which is made up of puborectalis muscle, which is a part of levator ani muscle, which form the pelvic diaphragm from pubis to surround this anorectal junction, and also the external and internal anal sphincter. यहाँ पर below there is anus, and their sphincter will also join with this puborectalis muscle and will form the anorectal ring. So you can see this angulation. Now relations of the rectum. What are the relations? Visceral and peritoneal relation. First see in this diagram, this is rectum. Now see the peritoneal relation. Upper 1/3 of the rectum is covered by peritoneum anteriorly and as well as laterally. Right? Anteriorly as well as laterally. Middle 1/3 of the rectum is covered by peritoneum only anteriorly. It is covered only anteriorly. While the lower 1/3 of rectum is devoid of peritoneum. Here, in place of peritoneum, there is condensed pelvic fascia. We will see that later on. So, peritoneal relation. Now, what are the visceral relation? They are different in male and female visceral relation. Here, in this diagram, we can see the visceral relation in male. Anterior to the rectum in upper 2/3, there is fold of peritoneum which reflects from the upper part of the rectum to the upper part of base. This is base of bladder. This is superior surface of bladder. So it will reflect to upper part of base of bladder and then to superior surface of the urinary bladder, and this is known as rectovesical pouch. This fold of peritoneum is known as rectovesical pouch. So upper part of the rectum, upper 2/3, is related anteriorly to the rectovesical pouch which separate it from the urinary bladder, upper part of base of urinary bladder. You can see. And the lower part of the rectum anteriorly is related to the base of bladder without intervening peritoneum, but there is condensed fascia over here. We will see that. Here is fascia, pelvic fascia is condensed, known as Dunning-Miller fascia is there. But lower part of the rectum is related to the base of bladder, where on the base of bladder we will see seminal vesicles in male. This is the relations in male. Seminal vesicles, vas deferens, lower end of vas deferens are there at the base of bladder, lower end of ureter, and you can see even the prostate is related to the lower part of rectum. You can see the prostate gland is related to lower part of rectum, and anorectal junction is almost at the level of apex of prostate gland. You can see this is apex of prostate gland. Here is apex of prostate gland, and this is the rectum ends here and anal canal starts here. So you can see very important relation anterior to the lower part of rectum is prostate gland, and here seminal vesicle in male and lower end of vas deferens in male, and you can see even ureter, both in lower end of ureter in male and female. So what is importance of this can be seen, this anterior relations, particularly this one which is in the lower part of the rectum, anterior to the lower part of rectum. You can see important relations. Why it is important? Because by per rectal examination, you can see a finger can be passed through anus, and you can reach up to a surgeon can reach up to the lower part of the rectum, and from here he can palpate the prostate gland or vas deferens or even seminal vesicle in male anteriorly. These structures can be palpated, and posterior to it here is sacrum, coccyx, ischial, and on lateral side ischial spine can even be palpated by passing a finger. So by just passing a finger, so many information can be obtained. Even if there is some lodged fecalith or some stricture of the anal canal or rectum, it can also be palpated here by the simple per rectal examination. So it is important. Now relations of rectum in female. In female, we can see the upper 2/3 of rectum is anteriorly related to the recto-uterine pouch. In male, there was rectovesical pouch. Here there is recto-uterine pouch or pouch of Douglas. This recto-uterine pouch, the peritoneum reflects from upper two-third of rectum to the upper part of vagina and then to the uterus. And this recto-uterine pouch is deeper than rectovesical pouch. You can see here again this rectovesical pouch, it was up to here, and recto-uterine pouch, it was 7.5 centimeter from the anus. This one, the apex of the rectovesical pouch was 7.5 centimeter from the anus, while this lower extent of the recto-uterine pouch is 5.5 centimeter from the anus. So it is deeper. And the lower part of the rectum anteriorly in female is related to vagina. Lower part of vagina. So in female also, by per rectal examination, the lower part of the vagina can be palpated, even the position of the fetal head and the sacrum, and on either side ischial spine and ischium bone can be palpated. So this is an important, simple examination which can give lot of information to the surgeon. Now, what are the posterior relations of the rectum? We know that it lies in front of the lower three pieces of the sacrum. So in midline, what are the relations in midline? This is midline relation, body of sacrum, coccyx. Then from the coccyx downward there is anococcygeal raphe from the coccyx to the posterior margin of the anus. That is anococcygeal raphe. Then ganglion impar at the lower end of the sympathetic chain. In midline there is ganglion impar. In midline there is an artery known as artery and vein, that is median sacral vessels. And even superior rectal artery lies on the posterior surface of the rectum. It is related to posterior. So these are midline structures. And on the lateral side, on each side, posteriorly, the rectum is related to three muscles from above downward. We'll see in the diagram, piriformis, coccygeus, levator ani. These three are the muscles. Then now, as far as nerves are concerned, sympathetic trunk, lower part of the sympathetic trunk, lower part of sacral plexus, and lower lateral sacral vessels. This was median sacral vessel, a part posterior branch of the abdominal aorta, and this is lower lateral sacral vessels. They are branches of internal ileum and lateral division of superior rectal artery. Now see what are the relations. What we can see in this diagram, in the midline, what is there is the median sacral artery, terminal branch of the aorta, posterior, from the posterior aspect. You can see in midline, median sacral artery. On either side, this is sympathetic chain. The sympathetic chain of both sides unite in front of coccyx. Here is the ganglion impar. You can see this is small pea-like structure, ganglion impar. Right? This is piriformis muscle, this is coccygeus muscle and levator ani muscle. This coccygeus and levator ani, they form pelvic diaphragm, and this is the muscle of lateral pelvic wall. So these are the posterior relations, sacrum and structures in front of sacrum. They all lies posterior to the rectum. Now what are the lateral relations of rectum? In upper part, this is pararectal fossa, which contains the coils of intestine. Right? This is with loose areolar tissue on each side, and in lower part the rectum is laterally related to levator ani or pelvic diaphragm. You can say pelvic diaphragm, levator ani muscle. This is levator ani. So lower part of the rectum is laterally related to levator ani, and in upper part to the coils of intestine and sigmoid colon. So these are the relations and all the relations on all the aspects. Now interior of rectum. If we open the rectum and we see it from the luminal aspect, what we see is in the lower part we can see longitudinal folds, and these longitudinal folds are temporary folds which disappear when the rectum distends. So they are temporary folds, longitudinal folds, and seen in lower part. Seen only when it is empty. On distension they disappear. But also there are permanent folds which are composed of mucosa, submucosa, and even the external muscle layers. They are permanent folds and they are transverse in disposition. They were longitudinal, temporary one, and this permanent one are transverse. We'll see in the diagram. And they are most marked in distended rectum, while they were temporary one were marked in empty rectum. But these permanent folds are most marked in the distended rectum. Now, which are these folds? We can see this is the upper lateral curvature, middle lateral curvature. Opposite to the curvature, these permanent folds, mucosal folds are there. So this is upper, middle, and lower. This is upper from left wall, this is middle from right wall, and this is lower from again left wall. Horizontal, they are horizontal, also known as Houston's wall. They are also known as Houston's wall, and they are formed by the reduplication of mucous membrane containing submucosa and thickening of circular muscles are also projecting in this permanent folds. Again, one more view, you can see superior wall of Houston. These folds, permanent mucosal folds, are called walls of Houston. So this is superior wall of Houston, middle wall of Houston, inferior wall of Houston. And this is rectum, and here the rectum will continue with anal canal. These are column-like structure. This is anal canal. Talk about that later on. So these are the mucosal folds. You can see the mucosal fold in by an endoscope. Otherwise here the same later this mucosal permanent folds are there. Now arterial supply of the rectum. Rectum is part of hindgut. So it is supplied, the artery of the hindgut is inferior mesenteric artery. So rectum is supplied by the terminal branch of the inferior mesenteric artery, means the inferior mesenteric artery itself continue as superior rectal artery at the pelvic brim, right? And it crosses this common iliac vessel on left side and continue as superior rectal artery. So this is inferior mesenteric artery, which is a artery of hindgut, and it will continue as superior rectal artery opposite the S3 vertebra. This superior rectal artery lies in the pelvic mesocolon, medial limb of pelvic mesocolon, and at the S3 vertebra it divides into right and left branch, and then these branches further divide. The superior rectal artery lies on the posterior surface of the rectum, and all these branches at the middle of rectum, they pierce the musculature of the rectum and reaches up to the submucosa, supplies even the mucosa. So this is arterial supply of the rectum is most important artery, superior rectal artery, continuation of inferior mesenteric artery. Another artery which supplies the blood to the rectum is middle rectal artery. This is middle rectal artery, and it is the branch, this middle rectal artery is branch of internal iliac artery. But this supplies only the musculature, outer musculature of the posterior surface of the lower part of the rectum, does not reaches up to the mucosa. And third artery which supply the posterior surface near anorectal junction is the median sacral artery. We have seen in midline a branch from the aorta. This is median sacral artery. Median sacral artery. So three arteries supplies blood. The most important one is the superior rectal artery, continuation of the inferior mesenteric artery, which supplies the most of the part and the mucosa of the rectum. Middle rectal, less important, supply the musculature on the posterior aspect. Middle rectal supplies the musculature on the anorectal junction, posterior surface. So this is the arterial supply of the rectum. What is venous drainage of the rectum? Venous drainage is also by the superior rectal vein, middle rectal vein, and even the inferior rectal vein, which drain the anal canal. Here again, artery, in artery you can see this is inferior rectal artery. It supplies the lower part of anal canal, right? This supplies but this superior rectal artery, it forms here anastomotic channels. They form the anastomotic channel, loops, and even it anastomose with the inferior rectal artery, which is the artery of the lower part of anal canal. So inferior rectal artery is also there, but it supplies the lower part of anal canal. So similarly you can see the superior rectal vein, middle rectal vein, and inferior rectal vein. Now this superior rectal vein, it forms the internal venous plexus in the submucosa of the rectum and upper part of the anal canal. And this submucosal venous plexus at the 7.5 centimeter above the anus, then it condenses to form the superior rectal vein in the upper part of the rectum, and this superior rectal vein continue as inferior mesenteric vein. Superior, which is the the inferior mesenteric vein is the vein of the hindgut. So superior rectal vein continue as inferior mesenteric vein. Middle rectal vein, inferior rectal vein, and a component of superior rectal vein, they form external venous plexus outside the musculature of the rectum. The external venous plexus, lower part is drained in the inferior rectal vein, middle part in the middle rectal vein, and superior part in the superior rectal vein, and all this anastomose with each other. Internal venous plexus, it communicates with the external venous plexus. Superior rectal vein communicates with the inferior rectal vein. So there are all anastomoses between these veins. This internal venous plexus is very important because it is responsible for hemorrhoids, or commonly known as piles. Lymphatic drainage, upper part of the rectum drain through the rectal node to the inferior mesenteric nodes along the superior rectal vessels and inferior mesenteric vessels to the inferior mesenteric nodes. Then middle part drain into internal iliac nodes, middle and lower part of the rectum, and even the upper part of the anal canal. So upper part in the inferior mesenteric lymph node, and the lower and middle part and even the upper part of anal canal drain in the internal iliac group of lymph nodes along the middle rectal vessels. And the lowest part of the lower part of the anal canal drain in the horizontal set of superficial inguinal lymph nodes. It drain in superficial inguinal lymph nodes, the lower part of the anal canal. Now supply of the rectum. It is supplied by autonomic nerves. Sympathetic are from L1, L2 segments, and parasympathetic S2, S3, S4 pelvic splanchnic nerve. Both are supplied through rectal and inferior mesenteric and inferior hypogastric plexus. So this is autonomic nerve supply. Sympathetic are vasoconstrictor, and they are inhibitor to the musculature. They inhibit peristalsis. Parasympathetic they are motor to the musculature. The sympathetic will constrict the sphincter, while the parasympathetic relax the sphincter. Sensation of distension pass through parasympathetic. If we feel the distension of the rectum, and this sensation pass through parasympathetic. Pain sensation pass via both sympathetic and parasympathetic. So this is about the nerve supply of the rectum. Supports of rectum, very important supports, which are otherwise the rectum will prolapse from its position. Pelvic floor, levator ani muscle, there is a muscle which is forming the pelvic floor. It supports the anorectal junction, especially puborectalis. Then there are condensation of fascia all around, that is fascia of Welder, that is condensation of pelvic fascia behind the rectum, and it connects the rectal ampulla to the sacrum, this condensed fascia. It encloses superior rectal vessels and lymphatics. I told you the superior rectal vessels and lymphatics passing along it to the inferior mesenteric nodes, they all pass behind the rectum in the fascia of Welder. So posteriorly extending from rectal ampulla to the sacrum. Lateral ligament of rectum, that is condensation again of the pelvic fascia and extend from lateral aspect of rectum to the posterolateral wall of pelvis. Dornenwiller fascia anteriorly lies between the base of bladder and lower part of base of bladder and lower part of rectum. Pelvic peritoneum, we have seen the rectovesical and rectouterine pouches, and perineal body. We will talk about this in perineum, that is central part of perineum. Musculotendinous body is there, that is perineal body, important support. Now we can see in this, this is pelvic diaphragm, this is puborectalis muscle from pubis, it surrounds the rectum, this is pubococcygeus, this is iliococcygeus, and this is ischococcygeus or coccygeus muscle, and this is piriformis on the posterolateral wall of the pelvis. So this is pelvic diaphragm, levator ani muscle and its various parts. They support the rectum. If any one of this is disturbed, become loose, or because of any reasons they are not supporting the rectum, there can be prolapse of rectum. So these are the supports of rectum. The fascia, I told you, the condensation of the pelvic fascia, these are lateral ligament to rectum to lateral pelvic wall, posterolateral wall of the pelvis. This is fascia of Dornenwiller, anteriorly placed between the rectum and base of bladder. This is seminal vesicle. This is fascia of Welder, which is posterior to the rectum and connects the rectal ampulla to the sacrum. So all around, this condensation of the pelvic fascia supports the rectum, and perineal body is also an important support to the rectum. Here we can see again the fascia of Dornenwiller between rectum and urinary bladder. Here posterior Welder fascia will lie over here. Prolapse of rectum. If rectum is not in its position and it is displaced, it is known as prolapse. Mucosal prolapse or incomplete prolapse. Only mucosa is coming down and even can come out of anus. Rest of the muscle, outer musculature is in position. So that is mucosal prolapse or incomplete prolapse or complete prolapse. Second is complete prolapse with all the four layers, that is mucosa, submucosa, circular and longitudinal muscles. All the cords are prolapsed out. The rectum is coming out in the anal canal or even can come out from the anus. That is complete prolapse or known as procedentia. So prolapse can be incomplete of mucosa only, and complete, the entire rectum is prolapse. Causes, what are the causes of prolapse of rectum? Excessive straining during defecation, constipation, chronic diarrhea, weakness of rectal supports. This is important. We talked about various supports, various fascias, and most important is levator ani muscle which form the pelvic diaphragm. And there are many unknown causes which can also lead to the prolapse of rectum beside these known causes. So you can see here the rectum is, the mucosa is prolapse through the anus. See, this is something coming out from the anus. This is the prolapse of rectum. Now let us talk about the anal canal. Anal canal is again the final segment of the intestinal tract, that is gut, and it is also devoid of all the features of the large intestine. Where it is located? It is located here. This is diamond shaped space known as perineum, and this is anal triangle, and this is urogenital triangle, anterior one. So anus is located in midline as anteroposterior slit in the anal triangle, below the pelvic diaphragm in perineum. Pelvic diaphragm is at the level of anorectal junction. So this is below the pelvic diaphragm in anal triangle, and on either side this is anal canal, and on either side there are ischiorectal or ischioanal spaces filled with fat. And here you can see this is levator ani or pelvic diaphragm, and anal canal is below the pelvic diaphragm. This part is anal canal. So these are the lateral relations and location. It extends from anorectal junction just below the and 2 to 3 centimeter at the tip of coccyx, and it is directed downward and backward. You know, the rectal ring, anorectal ring pulls it forward, and there is formation of an angle, and below this the anal canal is directed downward and backward to anal orifice and reaches to the 4 centimeter below and in front of tip of coccyx. Here there is anal aperture. Anal orifice is an anteroposterior slit in natal cleft, and skin around the anal cleft, this anal slit is pigmented. It is thrown into radiating folds due to pull of subcutaneous muscle corrugator cutis ani. So this skin is in the form of pigmented area with radiating folds, and even in male you can see there are hairs present surrounding the anal slit. Now the relations of anal canal, rectum, already we'll see this structure again. Here rectum hai, this is anal canal. Anteriorly it is related to the perineal body. Bulb of penis, this is bulb of penis, and this is urethra. So by the per rectal, per anal examination, even the bulb of penis and urethra can be examined. So anterior relation in male are here. Posteriorly it is related to coccyx, and anococcygeal raphe or anococcygeal ligament is there posteriorly. In female, the anterior relation of anal canal, there is perineal body both in male and female, and anteriorly there is lowermost part of the vagina is anteriorly related to anal canal. Posteriorly there is tip of coccyx and anococcygeal ligament. Now if we see the interior of the, on either side I told you there are ischioanal space or ischiorectal fossa or ischiorectal space are there. We have already seen the anal canal. If you see the interior of the anal canal, it is 38 millimeter long, roughly 4 centimeter long, you can say 38 millimeter long, and divided into two parts by a line known as pectinate line. Here, this is this curved line, this pectinate line, also known as dentate line, and this line divide roughly anal canal into two parts. Upper 15 millimeter long part, and then lower is 23 millimeter long part. This upper part, its development is same as rectum, that it is developed from the terminal part of the hindgut, endodermal in origin, while the area below the anal canal, this 23 millimeter developed from ectoderm, proctodium. It develops in proctodium from ectoderm, from here. And this is the pectinate line where in embryonic life there is anal membrane which lies here, anal membrane. And by perforation of anal membrane, this ectodermal part and endodermal part, they continue with each other. If there is no perforation in anal membrane, it is imperforate anus. So let us first see this upper part of the anal canal, 15 millimeter long. You can see some these structures vertically running mucosal folds. They are seen in the upper part. They are anal column. This anal column joint with each other inferiorly, and they are known as anal wall. And at this anal wall there is pectinate line. And here this anal wall is directed upward. There are mucosal folds here. The little they are directed in the lumen upward, and there is a fossa depression over here known as anal sinus. And the anorectal glands open in this sinus. There are 6 to 10 anal columns. Anal columns are numbered 6 to 10. See one more diagram, another diagram. So this is pectinate line. Below it is ectodermal in origin, right? What we can see here, in lower part. So this mucosa is endodermal in origin and it is columnar epithelium here. It is columnar epithelium. What are these vertically running structure? Anal column, mucosal, vertically running mucosal folds. And in this anal column there are radicals of superior rectal vein. And if they become sacculated and enlarged, then they lead to internal piles or hemorrhoids. And here are the glands, openings of the anorectal glands. In anorectal sinus, these glands are open, they open here. Now what about this lower part? This is known as, this is pectinate line. Now below the pectinate line, 15 millimeter is known as pectine or transition zone. This is pectine or transition zone. This part, 15 millimeter. And another 8 millimeter is cutaneous part. This pectine is also lined by mucosa. Here was also mucosa, but columnar epithelium. Pectine is also mucosa, but here the epithelium is stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Here mucosa is loosely attached to the underlying tissue. There is loose tissue in the submucosa. Here mucosa is tightly adherent to the underlying tissue. So here the mucosa cannot move. Here it can move easily and there is a space for enlargement of this superior rectal vein radicals. Now this pectine or transition zone it looks slightly bluish in color because of below this there is rich internal venous plexus. Because of this it looks bluish in color. And this is cutaneous part which is pigmented, black, contains sebaceous gland, sweat gland. This part do not contain sebaceous gland, sweat gland. This is bluish in color, this is pigmented black in color, and between these two lines there is a white line of Hilton which is at the level of mucocutaneous junction. This represents the mucocutaneous junction. So there are two lines, pectinate line or dentate line, which separate the upper from lower part. This is endodermal in origin, developmentally from the hindgut. This is ectodermal from the proctodium. All of this below the pectinate line. Nerve supply, blood supply, lymphatic drainage, all will be different because their development is different of these two parts. But this line of Hilton, it is at the mucocutaneous junction, pectine, and this lower cutaneous part of the anal canal. Here it is lined by true skin below the Hilton's line. Here it is black pigmented skin. Here it is bluish, and this line is in between these two colored area. It looks white, so known as white line of Hilton. So it is roughly this anal canal is divided by pectinate line in upper and lower, and by Hilton line lower part is further divided into pectine and cutaneous part, mucocutaneous. Again we can see the anal canal. These are the columns. This is the sinus. Here walls are there. This is the pectine lined by squamous mucosa, and here is the true skin, and this is white line of Hilton. You can see white line of Hilton. And this is anal sphincter. Musculature of anus is in the form of circular muscle cord. This is internal anal sphincter, which is by the thickening of the circular muscle cord. And this is external anal sphincter, which is formed by striated muscle. This is by the circular muscle cord, so it is involuntary smooth muscle, internal anal sphincter. External anal sphincter is formed by striated muscle, so voluntary, and it has deep part, superficial part, and this lowermost subcutaneous part of the external anal sphincter are there. And between these two there is this vertically conjoined longitudinal cord of the muscle, which is formed by the fusion of the longitudinal muscle of rectum and levator ani. Puborectal is part of the levator ani. Both this join to form conjoint longitudinal muscle cord of the anus, anal canal. Again, we will see this in one diagrammatic representation of the anal canal. I will revise the things. Now, if we see it from inside, what are there? This is pectinate line, we divide it into the upper part and lower part, right? These are the anal columns, anal sinuses, anal walls. This is internal anal sphincter, which encloses the upper 30 millimeter, 3 centimeter, 15 millimeter this part, 15 millimeter pectin part, and this is pectinate line, and this is Hilton's line. Below Hilton line, this internal anal sphincter is not there. So it surrounds, internal anal sphincter surrounds only the upper 3/4 of the anal canal, and it is formed by the circular muscle. And this external anal sphincter, it surrounds whole of the anal canal, deep part, superficial part, and subcutaneous part. This is a striated muscle, voluntary, supplied by inferior rectal nerves and perineal branch of fourth sacral nerve. So it is voluntary, somatic innervation is there. This is by the autonomic nerves. Here the supply is by the autonomic nerve. Similarly, above the pectinate line, the mucosa is by autonomic, sympathetic, parasympathetic, not sensitive to pain and temperature, but sensitive to distension, spasm, etc. And below the pectinate line, the mucosa is supplied by the inferior rectal nerve, and it is sensitive to the pain and temperature. So can you identify all the structure? This is puborectalis, this is longitudinal muscle coat of rectum. Both of these unite to form this conjoint longitudinal coat of anal canal. So this is conjoint, here circular coat, here longitudinal coat, and these striated muscles which are voluntary in nature, they form the external anal. Now what about this conjoint longitudinal anal coat? This coat, it splits into fibroelastic septa at the lower end of the superficial part of this external anal sphincter, or you can say at the junction of the internal anal sphincter and subcutaneous part of the external anal sphincter, intersphincteric groove. Here the longitudinal coat divide into fibroelastic septa. One of the septa goes laterally and is attached to the obturator fascia to form the pudendal canal, and this is perianal fascia, one of the band of the fibroelastic septa. This perianal fascia, and this is perianal space. Perianal space, it contains tightly packed fat, and here is ischioanal space or ischiorectal fossa, which contain loosely packed fat, and this allows the distension of the anal canal. Because of the loose fatty tissue on either side, the distension of anal canal is allowed. Again, we can see internal anal sphincter, external anal sphincter, and this is the longitudinal fibroelastic this is longitudinal, conjoint longitudinal coat formed by the why it is called conjoint longitudinal coat of rectum and puborectalis. These are the fibroelastic bands, which these fibroelastic bands even pierce the subcutaneous part of the external anal sphincter, get attached to the skin near the anus, and one of it form perianal fascia. This is ischiorectal space, this is perianal space between perianal fascia and skin. This is perianal space. Here you can see ischiorectal fossa, perianal space. This is the perianal space, this is perianal fascia. Here is pudendal canal. From the pudendal canal, it contain inferior pudendal vessels and pudendal nerve. And from this inferior rectal vessels will come, and inferior rectal nerve will come and supply the lower part of the anal canal by traversing the ischiorectal fossa like this. From pudendal canal they pass like this and supply the inferior part. Surgical spaces around the anal canal, I told you ischioanal space you have seen on each side of the upper part of anal canal. Perianal space surrounds the anal canal below the Hilton's line. Below the Hilton's line, it is surrounded by perianal space. Above the Hilton's line, ischiorectal space is there, and this perianal space is between the perineal fascia and skin. Submucosal anal space between the mucosa and the internal sphincter above Hilton line. In the submucosal space contain internal venous plexus. Difference between the upper and lower part of the anal canal. Developmentally, I told you the upper part above the pectinate line, endodermal in origin. Below it, pectin and subcutaneous part ectodermal in origin. Epithelial lining above pectinate line. It is columnar epithelium. Below it is stratified squamous, non-keratinized epithelium. Innervation, upper part is autonomic above the pectinate line, so not sensitive to pain. Below it is inferior rectal nerve and perineal branch of fourth sacral nerve, so it is pain sensitive. Arterial supply above the pectineal line, it is superior rectal artery. Below it, it is inferior rectal artery. Venous drainage above is by the superior rectal vein and below it is by the inferior rectal vein. Lymphatic drainage above the pectinate line, it drains in the internal iliac group of lymph nodes and below it drain in the superficial group of horizontal limb of superficial group of inguinal lymph node. Hemorrhoids above the pectinate line, they are internal hemorrhoids. Below the pectinate line, external hemorrhoid. Internal hemorrhoids are pains and they are not sensitive to pain, and external are painful. Now what we can see are the hemorrhoids, or in layman terms it is piles. The applied anatomy of anal canal, very important, is this piles. And the most common site, if we see in the lithotomy position, patient is lying in lithotomy position. You know lithotomy position. Thighs and knee are flexed. Patient is lying on the table. 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock and 11 o'clock. These are the most common position where the internal piles are seen, and these are known as primary piles. 3, 7, 11. This is left lateral, right anterior, right posterior. They are common. So you can see the applied anatomy. Piles or hemorrhoids. Second, anal fissure. There is break in continuity of the epithelium at one of the anal column. And this is anal fistula, connecting two cavities, epithelialized tract connecting two cavities or connecting one cavity with exterior. So anal fistula can be there. So these are important applied aspect of this. Just to revise before we talk about the most important applied anatomy, that is hemorrhoids or piles, let us revise the venous drainage. Above the pectinate line, each column there is one radical of the superior rectal vein. In superior rectal vein, ultimately it drains in the inferior mesenteric, then splenic and portal vein. So it is a tributary of portal venous system, while the inferior rectal vein is a tributary of systemic circulation. This is systemic. Inferior rectal vein drain in the internal pudendal and in the internal iliac vein. So this is systemic venous system and this is portal. And you know this is a site of portocaval anastomosis. So in case of portal hypertension, this anastomosis can get enlarged. There are varicocele at this junction and can lead to hemorrhoids or piles. So what are hemorrhoids? They are variceal dilatation of submucosal and perianal venous plexus. So internal venous plexus is in submucosa. There is variceal dilatation of this. Anatomically, the hemorrhoids consist of a fold of mucosa, submucosa containing varicose radical of the superior rectal vein and terminal branch of the superior rectal artery. These are present in each hemorrhoid and it is having covering of mucosa and submucosa with dilated circulated vein and accompanying arterial radical. Classification of hemorrhoids. Internal hemorrhoids or true piles, they are above the pectinate line and they are the secular or varicocele and dilatation of the tributaries of the superior rectal vein. And they are primary. I told you if they are at 3, 7 and 11 o'clock position, and if they are present at other position, they are secondary piles. If they are confined to the rectal Anal canal, the piles are in the anal canal, they are enlarged, dilated veins, but they are confined to anal canal, they are first degree. If they comes out during the straining, during defecation, second degree, and if they come out even without defecation, they are third degree of internal hemorrhoids or piles. External hemorrhoids, they are the dilatation of the veins which drain in the inferior rectal vein below the pectinate line, and they are painful. Factors for internal piles, portal hypertension. Which are the factors responsible? Portal hypertension, poor support to veins from loose surrounding tissue. The mucosa, some mucosa contain loose surrounding tissue. Loose tissue is there. Absence of wall in superior rectal veins. So there is pressure on the tributaries, increased pressure or compression of veins where they come out of by piercing the muscular pores. So these are the factors responsible for internal piles which are painless piles. You can see the pectinate line here in this diagram. This is pectinate line. You can see this is one of the anal column with its mucosa and some mucosal covering and the dilated radicle of superior rectal vein which is a tributary of portal vein. This is external hemorrhoid which is painful below the pectinate line. Again internal, and this is external crossing the, this is external one, this is even continuing downward above the pectinate line. These are the various surgical procedure. Ligation can be done of this pile, a rubber band can be tied, can be by using a ligator. They can be ligated, even sclerotic agents are injected in the piles. There are various surgical procedures. Anal fissure, this is a break in continuity of the mucosa. It can be of one of the anal column. Most of the time it is one of the anal column. The mucosa here is disturbed, that is damaged because of constipation or hard stool, and it can even extend here, and when it extends below the pectinate line it becomes painful. It is in midline situated posteriorly. This is anal fistula. When one of the abscess present in the surrounding area, it rupture in the anal canal, then this is fistula. And this fistula other end can open even through the skin to the exterior. Thank you.